right, here we go. I'm Nikeshia Castello, and I'm your host and moderator for this session, guiding you through today's discussion. We have an exciting lineup of speakers from across the business community, from banking, manufacturing, marketing, so they'll be sharing real insights into how to plan and promote your business during the very busy retail seasons. And I hope that anything that you learn today, you don't only apply it for Christmas, but any other holiday that we have in the year, Mashramani, Easter, these are all busy retail seasons for businesses. So today's session, it will be interactive. I do ask if you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat or you can share your own experiences in the chat. And of course, I asked you prior to this event to participate in our poll. If you haven't done so, please check your emails or our WhatsApp group chat, GMSA's group chat. Complete the poll so we can share and have that discussion centered around it. Before we go any further, let's meet our panelists for today's conversation. We have Miss Alison Barkie, Marketing Official, Republic Bank Guyana Limited; Youlandra McCammon, PR Officer, Senior Marketing Supervisor, Sterling Products Limited; Christopher Chapwanya, CEO of Sagacity; and Abigail John, owner of Propa Local Wines and Teas. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Nikeshia. Good
Good
morning,
morning. Good
everyone.
morning.
All right, great. To set the stage, with what the peak season really looks like for different businesses. For some, it's the rush of retail promotions. For others, it's brand campaigns, customer retention. But across the board, it's all about planning and being creative, especially in today's age, our minds are so quick to move on from one thing to the next. So you have to be creative and connect with your customers. So I want to hear from each of you. What does peak season look like for your business or your clients? And when does the planning usually begin? I'll start with you first. Yeah.
All right. So, hello again, Nikeshia and everyone, particularly those of you who are going to be viewing this exchange. And thank you again to you and the GMSA for inviting me to participate in this panel. So, for us and the industry that we work in, we're a public relations and communication services provider. Most of our clients provide services rather than products to a wide cross section of the Guyanese society and the country as a whole. And so for us, in terms of peak season, it's really defined by a general period where there is an increase in demand. There's an increase in demand for the services that these clients provide and an increase in demand from the clients themselves in terms of campaigns and projects that they're aiming to execute. Um, this typically occurs during holiday seasons and peak seasons like the one we're entering here right now, third and last quarter of December going into the Christmas season. And so, generally speaking, it's accompanied by a period of higher productivity. To match that productivity, looking at staffing and the other resources that are required for that. And of course, looking to anticipate challenges that may occur as you enter that period and how to navigate those challenges. So in summary, that is how peak season looks. And from project to project and client to client, the nuances differ, and so it becomes a bit more complex.
Yes. Yolandra, I'd like to hear from you. Sterling Products, a wide range of products, especially things that we use during Christmas, especially the margarine, butter. So tell us how you guys prepare.
Hi, good morning, everyone. All protocols observed. So basically, Starling Products Limited, we know it's Guyana, local manufacturer. We are one of the biggest local manufacturers in Guyana. We have a wide variety of items ranging from ice cream, yogurts, detergents, and like Nikisha said, margarine and butter. Just know that there's a difference between margarine and butter, but we will not go into that right now. But it's a difference. We will all call it butter, but there's a difference. But our peak season at Sterling would strictly be two main seasons. And that season is basically the August time when the kids are out. And like Chris said, Christmas that we're heading into. Now, how we prepare for this? Now, preparing for the peak season, which is Christmas, It's done since in April, if I may say. Why? Why such a long period? Because of all of our importing of packaging and raw materials. All of this need to be on ground. All of this need to be prepared before we enter that peak season, right? And we have products that strategically fits into these peak seasons so perfect that we know what our consumers are going to be looking for, so we know what to deliver. And when we're in this peak season, we don't want to be telling our customers or our consumers, oh, I'm sorry, we're out of stock. Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't get to manufacture so much. So the planning starts at a very early stage because of importation. And the peak season, as you know, golden cream, margarine, and baker's bread, that is going like hotcake. It started to go like hotcakes since the beginning of November because people are stocking up. And if you're a planner like me, you would want to stock up very early to make sure you have it for your preparation for Christmas. So effective planning is very important, and that starts very early at Sterling Products Limited with our managers, making sure that we have everything put in place so that we're able to deliver to our customers.
All right, great set. Abigail, you you own a small growing business, wines and teas. Recently launched the teas and is growing like hotcakes. Tell us, how are you preparing for Christmas?
Right. So, as the all protocols observed, good morning. I don't know if this is the first initiative, but this is a commendable initiative. And for persons that are on the panel that does not have a marketing background, it's okay. Breathe in, breathe out. Don't feel overwhelmed by what you're gonna hear. So I have a special phrase that I use, and you can feel free to write it down and use it. It says proper preparation prevents poor planning, right? So for me, I'm into wines and teas, and I can start making wines in August to sell for December, right? I was representing my uncle brand GT Wine before I had my proper local wines and teas brand. So I was able to make all the mistakes with his brand, thankfully. So I am better equipped now. When I was under his brand, one of the things that we encountered was bottles. December come, and the demand is for wine, but we had no bottles whatsoever in the country, right? So proper preparation prevents poor planning. So for me, I start to secure things that I don't have readily available access to bottles. I make sure I lock them down from August. I make sure I have sufficient labels because all sorts of stuff happen. And then finances. We just ended Guy Expo. We might say, get this little frack, let me go and pay in this house. No, take that money and lock it down in buying the necessary stuff. So we start from August, and by October to January, that's my boom season. So people shop with their eyes. So you lock in them mentally. Don't wait until December to put out a promotion about detox teas, because no, lock in the mind from now so they're gonna know, listen, this is a great gift to put in a hamper. Detox tea, when they finish eating the junk, they gotta clean out to go into the new year. So another great strategy that I use, we go to all of these expos, or you might just have an in-house promotion. Don't wait on the day to go do the promotion. Lock them in. So by the time you show up at wherever you have to be, the people come rushing you and they repeat what you say. So that's my strategy.
All right, Abigail, thank you. And some people may be asking why we have Republic Bank on the panel. Well, that's basically because I am very impressed with your promotions. You have a promotion for every period, back to school, Christmas. So I would really love to hear your insights, Ms. Barkie, on how do you guys prepare for Christmas? I know it's done way in advance.
That is so true. And as Abby said, all protocols observed. Thank you very much for having us here. And what I would like to say is, like everyone else, preparation is key. and we have been able to support lots of small businesses. What happens at the bank? Because we provide financing, and if we look specifically at businesses, you will see that there's a need for financing from early. And we were able to hear it from Abby, from Sterling, because what happens? The preparation is key. When you look at what's needed, the banks, and let me, instead of specifically saying Republic Bank, we will provide financing, yes, but I am dealing today, we're talking on behalf of Republic Bank, but with businesses who are probably not even banks at this time. You're doing business on your own from your own finances. You're turning over what you might have. Republic Bank will start our planning as early as March. Because for you to be able to ship in your bottles, your supplies, sometimes you need machinery and things like that, you have to consider shipping period, ordering period, and if you need financing for that, you can't wait until the peak season is on you, which could really very well be now, going October, November, December. As Chris said, going into this is the last quarter in the year, and it's a heavy period. And Youlandra would definitely know that Christmas parties, ice cream needed, the whether the butter and the lard, the margarine for the cakes and things like that. But you need to have finance. You need to be able to have that ready. So planning would start as early as March, April, May, so that what's needed to support small businesses, whether it's a new product, whether the management would consider an adjustment in benefits, if someone should come in for financing, all of that is decided so that a promotion or loan campaign can be put on during the July, August, September period. The persons can use that period to finance their business, to prepare themselves for when the retail part of the population will come into you to purchase items in October, November, December. It's that advanced planning process. So peak season for us would be earlier in the year, and how we prepare for it, planning and thinking about how best we can support the small businesses, what they might need.
All right, Allison, thank you for that. Before we dive deeper, I want to share the poll from our audience. We asked them, how early do you usually start planning your holiday marketing campaigns? And interesting results. Let me see if I can pull it up here for you guys. So we have here, I hope everyone can see my screen. We have here split between 33 months to 4 months ahead and 1 to 2 months ahead. One person said a few weeks before, and three persons said, I don't plan, I just wing it. Interesting, right? So I'm gonna stop sharing. My first question would be for Chris. Let's see here. Yes. What are the first steps in developing a successful seasonal marketing strategy?
So thanks, Nikeshia. I would say first and foremost, with any marketing strategy, standard, seasonal, it is very important to first of all define your target audience. Who exactly are you aiming to reach with your campaign? Whether it's coming from a bank or a manufacturing company or the tasty wines that Abigail was alluding to and the teas that certainly some of us will need post-Christmas. But who exactly are you targeting? And so defining that target audience helps you to plan effectively for the implementation and execution of that campaign. And then you want to outline the objectives. And you want to ensure that you have the core messages outlined as part of those objectives also. Mapping out the target audience also provides you with an idea of the nature of the message that you would use to reach that audience, particularly if it's broad. And so if you're selling products or services, providing services that captures anyone from 18 years old to 65, 75, that broad cross-section of people, it therefore means that your strategy is going to have to be a bit diverse, because what you use to reach teenagers or persons just out of that category now into young adulthood is not going to be the same thing you use to reach persons in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. So that is a primary area that sometimes is overlooked. And as a result of that, messages and how it is delivered sometimes become muddled. Once you have that captured, then you probably want to look at your capacity to deliver on what you are promising or what you are saying that you are able to deliver. And so if your business relates to volume, and at peak seasons like Christmas, you're going to sell more margarine and butter or more ice cream or more wines, then you also want to ensure that you have that capacity. And so that requires the staffing component of it to be in check. I would share with you an acronym that has worked well for me over the years in executing any marketing campaign, and it's POSLC. And POSLC is planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling. And once you apply that to any campaign, your probability of success significantly increases. The leading and controlling aspect of it, which come last, they're extremely important because you want to ensure that you have an effective team now to execute that campaign which you have developed. And you want to ensure that you have a mechanism, last and most important probably, for real-time feedback. So how is this campaign being executed? How is the marketing strategy being received? Is the objective being met? If not, what do I need to do to implement a change to have that course directed in a different direction? So POSLC, that's the approach that I take, and I found it to be very effective. And I would just say lastly, Nikeshia, ensure that what you are doing, we should always ensure that it's data driven, that it is guided by facts and not gut feeling and anecdotal information. How do we know that this segment of the population likes this? How do we know that that segment of the population could afford this? You got to take that into account. So I think those, from my perspective, would form a key component of what goes into such a campaign.
Yeah, I do have to agree with that, doing proper research and so forth of your audience. We're going to get to a bit of that later on when we talk about the digital aspect of things, but that way you'll be able to track person's age, where they're from, and so forth. Before we get to that, I want to turn to Youlandra. How do you guys decide which products to push during the season?
Thank you, Nikesha. All right, just to highlight what Chris says, Chris would have touched on a few of my points that I would have said because he speak on campaigning and all these things. But the first thing we want to do, or the first thing you should do as a small business, is to look back at your historical sales. Now, during the peak time is not where you're trying to implement new things. You're not trying to launch new things. You need to go back to your historical data. So at Starling, to know the products that we push, we went back to our historical sales and forecasting, and we know that, okay, peak season, like I think someone said, it's margarine, it's Baker's Pride, it's Igloo ice cream. So we already know what is the product that we're going to be pushing. We already know these are the products that is going to be in a high demand because of what is happening in that season. And then after we get the products, we then come up with, like Chris was saying, early planning to ensure that we meet the demands. And then we make sure that we have the task force, like Chris was saying also, make sure you have inventory and logistics. You have to make sure that all of these things are readily for when this time reach to have efficiency in distribution and making sure that you meet your targets. On the other hand of promotion, again, like I said earlier, we don't want to be bringing out new products in this peak season. People are busy hustling and bustling. I know that I have to get golden cream margarine for my cake. I'm not going to listen to you launch your new product because this is not the time for me to do that. You would have had to launch it about 3 months before, I think like Abigail said, get it into the minds of the consumers so that they know, okay, yes, this is a product that I can substitute if golden cream margarine runs out on the shelf, I can substitute. And with that being said, that's why we would have launched the liquid margarine. So we're coming down to the Christmas season. And like I said, a scenario, if you go to the supermarket and you don't get the golden cream margarine in the tub, you can get the liquid one, which is easy to use. And it's the same, you're actually getting the same margarine in the tub, but in a liquid form. Right? So it's all about making sure you go back to your historical sales, you know exactly what was in demand at around this time, Christmas time, peak time. You make sure you be strategic about your inventory and your capacity, your production readiness, your warehouse. You have all the capacity to store all these things that you're going to be bottling up and packaging up. You have to make sure, and you need to be very strategic with your promotional at this peak time, especially to make sure you capitalize on demand. And you want to make sure that you're still keeping a close eye on what your competitors are doing so you can make a shift in your marketing strategy very early, because we know people don't really let the cat out of the bag very early. We know courts and these things, yes, we have Black Friday deals, they're going to let that out. But when it comes to December, you're not really going to know anything until probably the week before Christmas. So you want to keep a close eye on your competitors, because all of us have competitors. As big as Sterling is, we have competitors. So small business would have the same competition that Sterling has. So you want to be prepared for that.
Thank you so much, Youlandra. And now let's talk digital. Online space moving really fast. As I said before, what's trending today is not going to be trending tomorrow. And since I'm still on you, Youlandra, I want you to tell us how your team, how you guys monitor trends and adapt to campaigns in real time. I know you guys recently launched your website. It's a better way to track customers and how are they, adding items to the cart. But before the website was in place, how were you guys able to track your customers?
We were able to do that via social media. So we all know social media, AI is here. It's nowhere. It's not going anywhere. It's just going to get better. It's going to enhance how we do our work, but we should also, as small business, make sure we use it in an ethical way to make sure that it doesn't affect us in the long run. So basically, we were just using social media such as Facebook, Instagram, and we had our TikTok. Not so much actively on TikTok, but Facebook for sure. There is where we get all our customers' feedback, such as, okay, what do you want to see? What do you want from us? What do you want? And we keep very active on Facebook, because in marketing, you have to be consistent. As much as people are going to say, marketing, oh, that's an easy job. Marketing is not easy. Marketing sounds easy, but marketing is a very consistent job. And like Abigail would have said earlier, people, they purchase with their eyes. And if you be consistent about something, a scenario, I'm going to see a phone case today, and I'm going to be like, oh, it's cute. I can buy it. And then I say, okay, I'll wait tomorrow. And then I see it back to the other day, and it's like, here's a phone case again. And you're going to be like, you know what? Let me just buy this case and finish. Now, that's the strategy of marketing. You have to make sure you be very consistent with it. And you have to make sure that you're always marketing your products. It may not get 100,000 likes, but it's getting views. People are seeing it. Just know once people are on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, If they don't hit that like button, they're still viewing your content, they're still seeing your content. And a lot of people run away, especially small businesses run away with the fact that, oh, I'm not getting as much likes as Abigail, I'm not getting as much likes as Chris, so probably people are not seeing my content, people are not seeing. Trust and belief, people are seeing, because managing Sterling page now on the back end, I could actually see how many views a post get. So I can see how far it's been reaching. And like that, I can be able to work around and, you know, to know exactly who my target audience are, who I have to focus on, like what's their age range, because, you know, you see, you know how they interact and you see. And like Nikeshia, you said about the website. Now, the website was very strategic because we knew of what was coming up. The season is coming up. So we created an easy way, again, in the form of using some form of AI there, to have shopping online done on the website, to make it convenient for our consumers. There is no other local company in Guyana that is doing that. So we wanted to set the trend, if I may say in lowman term, we set in the trend in order to have convenience to our customers, have them, you can shop from the office, you can shop from anywhere, and you get it delivered to you for free. Right? So that move was a strategical move because we know of where we were heading before the year end. And if you haven't checked out the website, you should check out the website and have your goods come to you at your office. Don't save going to the supermarket and the hustle and the bustle, but you can check out the website at sterlingguyana.com.
Yes, Youlandra. Alison, I want to hear from you. How do you guys track and monitor your trends and your customers in real time? How do you do that?
Right. So we are really in a digital age.
Yeah.
So it is so different from many years ago, maybe even since we would have started her business. It has improved. And we are at a point where QR codes mean a big thing now for folks. So anywhere you go, you'll see a QR code. We do have during our campaigns these little codes either on flyers, brochures, or even at our ATMs, where persons can scan and make comments. They would either say what they're interested in, so we know specifically if they're interested in the current campaign that's on, or if they have something else to say about it. Monitoring the actual campaign while it's going on is something that the branches will do, because as persons come in, not everyone may qualify for financing at that time. So you will hear persons come in and say they didn't get the money or they didn't get the loan, others will. Each branch would be responsible for keeping a track of everyone that comes in, the purpose that they need a loan for, and the approvals. In checking that, we know if we need to probably pull out an outdoor event to bring in more customers, add some hype so that there's a better awareness of what is being offered. And we found over time that has been working as we do our promotions. So trend-wise, yes, we do have also our PR section that will be following specifically all of the platforms that we have a digital footprint on, so we can know firsthand and in real time what is being said about our promotions.
At this time, I'd like to say welcome Cristina Reni, Market Development Coordinator, Alliances for Action, International Trade Center. Actually, good afternoon. She's joining us all the way from Europe. She'll be sharing a presentation on social media trends a bit later after the panel discussion. But right now, just hello. And I'd like to address this next question to Abigail for small growing businesses working with limited budgets. How can they make a big impact online during these competitive seasons? Abigail, you're muted.
Yes, you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right. So I like the word that you use there, growing businesses. Because that are in Ghana. So two things comes to my mind. Communication, to have money, communication and strategy. Why do I say communication? I will use a before and now experience. Before I was under my uncle. He was the wine producer and I was the marketing face. So we each had our own roles. So he never communicated to me, Abigail, you're marketing more than I'm producing. So when the demand kicked in, there was nothing, there was no wine. So communication is key if you're part of a team. If you are souls, if you're one person, or if you're the one person in your business, you must have strategy. You don't have money. What do I mean by this? Don't look to reinvent the wheel, my fellow agro-processors. Look and see what successful companies right here in Guyana are doing. Post consistently. I have the example with Sylvie's. Everyone is in the GMSA group and you would see Sylvie's post every single morning. It can be very annoying, but you know what they left in my mind? Anybody asks me for any appliance for anything, machinery, Sylvie's, because they already built that in my head and it's effective. So what I do, what persons can do besides posting consistently, Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, they show you insights. They tell you when your customers are online. They show you the age range, who is viewing. So you get to gauge. You don't have to have a fancy marketing degree. So if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, just breathe in and breathe out. Just go on your Facebook insights or wherever you're advertising and see when they're communicating with your page. That would be a good, that's what I do. So 9 o'clock in the night, that's when the traffic on my page is high and I take full advantage of it. You might not have time, but you can schedule it. The next thing is I have a saying, I'm not in competition with no one. The reason being, if I cannot fill a container of wine by myself, then I'm not in competition. I believe in collaboration, right? So collaborate with like-minded businesses. What I find that people in Guyana, they like to see, oh, it's not just your face all the time. This man from Backyard Cafe, he came in contact with my product and I thought I was doing a good job. I mean, I'm doing a good job, but to have a fresh face behind a product and be so enthusiastic, it did wonders for my business. So the collaboration there, him promoting my teas within his business, it was phenomenal. So don't see your fellow agro processor as a threat. Compliment it. The next thing I focus on is there's so much. The speakers spoke much of them, but I just like to go a little bit Creole. Now you might not be in marketing, but you're an overthinker. You want everything to be picture perfect. If you're gonna be that picture perfect type of person, the timing, the overthinking, the time pass and you miss it, right? Listen to people right in the room. They don't have, you can listen to, or even a 6-year-old child can give you that inspiration. So those are my tools that I use and it has been working for me. And I just don't focus on Guyana. Focus on what people in Europe does with wines and teas and how they communicate. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just tweak it and you out there, right? So go heavy on the WhatsApp. My WhatsApp has over 13,000 people, right? That is my community. Don't look to go, hit and Jams might call you and say, we have a marketing package, like the news gonna call you. Do what you were already doing. Don't look to go and spend what you don't have. And I think one of the speakers would have spoke about sell what you have. Don't making wine all year and then December you're going to sell black cake. No, nobody doesn't know you like that. Don't take the money and put it where it doesn't belong. Post consistently like Sylvie's. I challenge one of you in the room to be the next Sylvie's, right? Or whoever you find that posts regularly. So those are some of my tools. For me, Instagram, it depends on your type of business. For me, it doesn't work for me. So don't just post because you want to post. Look at the numbers. Numbers matter. My WhatsApp is my community. My personal Facebook page is my community. And most of all, if you could stay away from being political online, bonus. Yeah. What you can do though, you go on the controversial pages and you put, oh, the person is so sweet in the room. You know, do something totally distracting. It's like, what proper local wine's talking about? And they invite them to your page, and trust me, it works. Business comes. So those are some of the little cues Abigail John has to share.
Or I would just say, go onto the post and say, I'm sipping on some proper local tea. Something to draw people to your page, right? But right now, we're gonna take a look at another question in our poll. And this one has to deal with the challenges some people face when it comes to marketing their products. So share again. And yes, what's the biggest challenge during peak season marketing? And here we find that 33% says managing logistics and supply, which is very interesting because we did touch on, making sure you have your, labels, your packaging early in advance before the Christmas season. Reaching the right audience, 26.7%, and 20% both budget and creative ideas. I don't know if anyone from the panel would like to just probably share their thoughts on this poll.
I would just comment quickly on partially in reaching the right audience and the other challenge as it relates to, and I think Alison, Youlandra had mentioned people buy what they buy with their eyes. I think that is what she had said. And so we have done some work with GMSA on Uncapped, working with a wide cross-section of agro-processors and local producers, as well as the Guyana Marketing Corporation's Grow More campaign. And a significant challenge that small, medium-sized businesses face, particularly in that industry, relates to branding and packaging. And it is so true that people buy with their eyes. And so that plays an integral role in how effective your product ultimately is. And on the matter of logistics, I believe was one of the challenges that came up in the poll. Again, it's really trying to determine who you're trying to reach and where. And never underestimate the power of social media to provide you with information for every single thing that I just mentioned. Facebook itself, in addition to being a cost-effective way to get your messages out there, the platform itself provides you with a significant amount of data on the back end, where you can delve into the data and determine demographics, a whole host of things ranging from what people like, what they don't, who is interfacing with your material marketing campaign material and who is not and why. The comment section also provides you with invaluable information. And so if you are able to and have the ability to crawl through that type of information and develop and generate reports or even some kind of guidance to your marketing strategy and campaign, it becomes extremely powerful and useful.
I would like to add, following up on just what Chris said, logistics, getting that information organized, it's really helpful. And you can only do it if you know. I have such great respect for small business owners because they're the ones that got to get up and get. They're not going to sit back. Yes, you have some folks who do things on the side. You have that side hustle and you get a salary at a certain time of the month. But if you're not in that cast, you have to get up and get and market and push because every dollar that comes back in depends on your effort. And you can only do your best if you have it in here, if you understand it. And Facebook is a place where you can see lots of stuff. Everything is there, good and bad, and it's for you now to pick out what will be relevant to your particular business. I would also at this point like to introduce or remind persons about the Republic Bank SME Toolkit, which is on Republic Bank's website. And once you go there, it deals specifically with businesses, small businesses. And you will not only get support in how to go about preparing certain documents, analyzing balance sheets or financial statements, proposals, but you will also hear testimonials from people, small business owners, not just in Guyana, but the region, who would have had challenges, success stories shared so that you can always take away what you find applicable to your specific business and run with it. See how best you can do it because identifying that is a challenge and not even financing because budget came down like at the bottom, getting finance it speaks volumes. And it means that we probably, as financial institutions, need to ensure, and with GMSA, push more educational forums. This one is a great start. And with the digital age, you don't have to come out of your office or leave your business place. We can get together right here and talk about these challenges. What do you need to do to plan for your peak seasons in 2026?
Speaking of peak
Right?
seasons,
Yeah.
and since I'm still on you, Miss Allison, what makes a seasonal campaign truly memorable in
Yes.
Guyana's market? I know you guys are in Trinidad, you're across the Caribbean, but for Guyana, you have to make it very specific, very to us. What do you guys do in that regard?
Correct, correct, correct. Several things can make a campaign memorable, and it's memorable for the banking institution or memorable for the customer. And it's not specifically just Christmas, but let's look at the peak season. And a brand that people ran with was the Deal on Wheels campaign. Everybody knew Deal on Wheels, and folks who needed to buy a car waited until Deal on Wheels to apply for a loan for the car. Why? Because during that period, you had a reduction in interest rates, reduction in equity, and folks or the population benefited more from buying a car during that period. And on the other end, the bank would have been very happy that the branches met their sales targets, and some exceeded by so many percentage points more than they were supposed to. So that's one aspect that can make things memorable. And also when you see persons lining up, lines aren't a good thing, but it also says that persons are interested. It makes us understand that this need is there. People want to get your product. They have to get it because that's why they're coming. And must do something to minimize their discomfort of a long line, a long wait. And once it works out and you get positive reviews, it's definitely something that's memorable.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we can think of so many memorable Christmas campaigns. If you guys remember any in the chat, please feel free to drop it. I would really like to reminisce on some of those old nice campaigns. And Chris, I know you work with a wide cross section of businesses. Any memorable campaigns stuck out to you, and would you mind sharing?
Deals on Wheels certainly come to mind. As Alison mentioned, very popular, very well executed. There is an old ad um, I don't look at a lot of TV now, but a few years ago, looking at local television in particular, it was still running on local television. It's a very basic, simple production for toilet paper being sold by R&R, and R&R located on Lombard Street. And this ad was around since I was maybe this big, and it's the same ad. It's you always see it, you hear it, it's the same thing. But the minute that you hear it, the minute you see it, and the minute you think of that, you think of them. And so finding a way to help or make people remember your product or service and you by use of buzzwords and certain themes and sounds in itself is very effective over time. I would say though that maybe one of the most effective ingredient in making a campaign successful is ensuring that people always remember how you make them feel. And your campaign, your service, your product must ultimately speak to that component of it. And it's applicable regardless of if you're a service provider and you're doing loans, like Republic Bank or other lending institutions, or you're selling products. How is getting a loan going to make you feel empowered, secure? Other ways of describing that. How is the wonderful products being manufactured at Sterling Products? How would that make you feel? How is Abigail's products going to make you feel? Is it going to help to bring your family together around the dinner table? What does that mean? And so developing your campaign around that in itself allows for it to be effective, allows for longevity, and people remember you long after it's been over.
Absolutely. One ad that I can't get out of my brain, especially during Christmas season. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a Gaffur's ad, and the song. It was just different toys, but this song, I still remember it to this day. It's in my head. If you guys remember it, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Um, but let's get into our next question, and I direct this one to Abigail, given that you are a business owner. What are some common mistakes businesses make during peak seasons? I know you mentioned a few, but coming up into the business, you had to learn as you move along. Just tell us about some common mistakes and how we can learn from them.
Right. So to expound on what Chris said, communication. Now, if you're going to post an ad and you know the person's going to ask you for the price, have someone scheduled to respond to people, especially in the peak season. Guyanese wanting in real time. So that's the biggest one for me. What's the second question? I'm so overwhelmed with this here.
No, it's just for you to share some common mistakes businesses make during this season.
Right. So don't sell what you don't have. Right. So don't sell what you don't have. Communication is key, and always have a backup plan. Always have a backup plan. If you are packaging your stuff in jars and you're fresh into business, this is your first year into business, and you're putting seasoning in the jars, look around. Is anybody putting seasoning in a bottle to sell it? So always have a backup plan. Don't ever leave yourself out of the market. So those are my three best takeaways. I will leave with my processors.
Youlandra, what about you?
Like I would have said earlier, mistakes, you don't want to know what people want and don't have it to give to them, right? So hence that's why we go back to historical data to see what was in demand. And you want to make sure that you have your stuff ready for not only Guyana, but across the world. We know that Christmas is a big thing across the world. So we know that it's going to come eventually. It's going to come. We can't run from the fact that Christmas is going to be here. So with that being at the back of our heads, we need to always plan. Like I saw the results of the planning, and some person said 1 to 2 months before the peak season. I mean, it's not efficient. It's not even accurate to plan 1 to 2 months, not because you're a small business. Planning is something that you have to take into consideration unforeseen circumstances. You have to think about risk. You have to think about how you're going to mitigate those risks if they happen. Do all of that in 2 months. You have to think of, okay, Donald Trump is going to wake up tomorrow morning and he's going to say tariffs again went up. It's going to affect your supply chain. It's going to affect if you used to purchase bottles and bring it in at this cost. Tomorrow morning you may wake up and it triple the cost. What are you going to do? That brings us back to what Chris was saying, or I think Alison. That's why budgeting also is very important to cater for all the things that we may not see happening. And I think most small business would always limit themselves and say, "Oh, I'm a small business. I can get by." You have to start being creative with your thinking. You have to start thinking ahead. If you think of your business as okay, it's a Sterling, it's a Republic Bank, it's a DDL, it's a Massey, you will reach to that place. But if you just sit and think, okay, as a small business, I could wake up tomorrow morning and plan for Christmas. It's not realistic. It's not going to work. And like Abigail said, you're going to be very overwhelmed because when customers come rushing at you, because for some reason, products that you don't think is be in a demand, when Christmas reach, it is in a demand. And to touch on the other slide that you talk about branding is very important. Like I would always go to the on-cap marketplace that GMSA would always host because Sterling normally be there. And over the years, I saw some businesses really innovated their packages. I am going to speak specifically. I don't know if the person is in this room, but I can't recall the brand, but I don't know if y'all know of the cheese straw, the mitai, and the I think it's the sauce they call it, or the chicken foot, I would call it. The package on that product has been moved tremendously. The growth on that packet, on that product has grown tremendously. And this is me as a consumer on the outside looking in because I don't know the backstory of it. All I know is when I went to GMSA, the on-cap marketplace, I saw that it was in clear packages. It was in plastic containers. And I was like, oh, let me try it. When I tried it, it was fresh, it was nice, it was delicious. And then I went back again 2 years ago and I saw the package change. So it came in a very sealed package. It had it branded, it had it color code. It was really well put together. And you better believe that stand got the most attention, and that was because of the package innovation. So this is me saying this to let all the small business know that we need to move ahead with the time. We need to move ahead with it. I know persons are going to say, we don't have the finances, we don't have the money, but that's why Alison say, hop onto the Republic Bank app. There are ways and there are means for us to move our business from here and take it to another level. And to keep in mind, Guyana is a growing economy. It's a booming economy. We're getting so many competitors coming from China, coming from Trinidad, coming from all over. We don't want to be complacent. We want to promote local. We want to let consumers, let the foreigners, let the investors know that, listen, local things are good things. Local things are made right here in Guyana. It's good, it's organic, it's nice, it's fresh. It's not sitting on a ship waiting to get to Guyana until 4 months, 5 months. It doesn't have any preservatives in it. We need to push our local brands. We need to push our local businesses because I think that is what make up our economy. And we shouldn't let the outsiders come and override us. So with that being said, we need to move ahead with the time. And we please plan ahead. We need to plan ahead. Planning is never too early. We need to plan ahead. Thank you.
So
That
Youlandra,
that is true.
Mhm,
yes, Youlandra, and
mhm.
I think everybody else is probably saying we should have had this webinar 4 or 5 months ago to plan for Christmas. I think we started too late. So I think I must apologize, everybody. We started a bit too late on this webinar, but yes, we're here. So next year, even for Mashramani, start planning early. Yes. I would like to share the results of this another poll. And this one is about our communication channels. I kind of feel a little way because y'all know I work on radio as well. And no one selected radio and TV as what channel brings the best results for your business during peak seasons. I did expect social media to be a part of it. 60% said social media. One person said in-store promotions, and another, well, a good amount says word of mouth. So I would like to hear from my panelists. What do you guys have to say about this?
So word of mouth is the most effective form of marketing communication, getting the word out there, letting people know about your product. Them hearing about it or your service from other people is most effective. And no doubt social media forms the largest component of the respondents there. For all the reasons, it reaches everyone. It's cheap to use in terms of boosting content if that is what you need to do. Radio, television, there are some programs on radio and television that if you're looking to run a marketing campaign, you want to be on the morning radio shows. There are certain programs like those that they still do, I believe, get a broad cross section of people who tune in.
That is correct, Chris. And without identifying any specific radio program, there are morning programs on your way to work where people don't have the TV in front of them. They can't be on the Facebook or Instagram. You listening to the radio and then between the music you have going on for the Make Everything Happen campaign. We have for every campaign at Republic Bank a scheduled period on the radio. Every campaign we still do radio. Press is somewhat limited, but indeed traditional advertising, the mediums are use of it is reducing. Lots of folks are going digitally, and that's why we have increased our digital footprint in Guyana and the region, because you will go on Republic Bank's page and see what's happening in other territories also. And remember, we are extended even out into Ghana. So you have Suriname, Ghana, and the other territories in the Caribbean. Digital, yes, but understand you have to match what's important to what you want to sell. So if it is better for your business to go on Facebook and put an image, it's more feasible for you to use that medium for your business instead of the radio. And when we talk about talking about what you have to put out there, no Abigail John, because just like how she could get fed up of Sylvie's, you might darn well get fed up of seeing and hearing Abigail John, either on the radio, the TV, or even in the newspaper. And I don't think now there's any campaign, any expo that Proper Local Wines isn't at. Right? So you have to push your business. Remember, it's all you. You can't be lazy with letting people know about you.
And if I'm to add quickly, I think social media got the highest percent because there's no fee attached, right? It's free of cost, and you just wake up, you be creative with your content, and you put it out there. You know, at thousands, how many people are going to see it or going to view it. So that's why I'm thinking social media. But like Alison said, and Chris would also say, the radio has been an important media tool for communicating. And at small business, you want to jump on the ones that you think people listen to. Like every time you pass, not that because Nikeshia works there, but any shop you pass or any car you jump in, they're always locked into 94. So why not just take that time? You don't have to advertise throughout the year, but they have scheduling, like Alison said. You schedule like some peak seasons to say, okay, I'm going to go on HJ in the morning on the Jumpstart show, and I'm going to let persons know this is what I have available for Christmas, where I'm located, where they can find me. Because again, to go and give you some time to sit and to go on your phone, unlike the radio, you can listen to it on the go. So it has its advantages and disadvantages, but I think both are a great form of communicating to the public.
Abigail, do you have anything to add?
Yes. Just to expound a little on what everybody said, visibility wins. And when you're going on the radio, if you have 12 products, don't try to market all 12 products. Choose your top three that you know that's going to draw in the people. And when you get them, then you can expound on the others. The person's making soap, December people going to be at home. You're making some lemongrass type of soap. Tell them how cool they're gonna be at home in December. You understand? So lock it in, and visibility wins. Packaging. As Alison said, there is not an expo that I haven't been to, and I would say I have my proper local teas. I see them as premium teas of the way I package them and I present them to the public. A lot of love is going into them. So I would say right now in Guyana, it is deemed the most expensive teas. But even though it's the most expensive tea, it is the most sought of tea. Number one, packaging, visibility, and the story that you tell. So if you're making black cake, I know they got a few that makes black cake. Create a story, do some mixing. I saw a video I was telling Nikeshia, I hope it's pronounced your name right. I barely saw a clip of her on talk with her journey to China. And this thing locked me. And I think I looked at that video 3 a.m. in the morning. It locked me. And then I'm looking for the part 2 and I can't get it. That's how thirsty I was for the video. So you don't have to be a fancy marketer. Just tell your honest, organic story and you're going to win.
Abigail, part 2, 3, 4. It's all on my TikTok page. Please follow. But thank you for that. And Youlandra, the packaging that you were just talking about, I believe that was Malia's Kitchen. They are here in this session. They do mitai, salsa, and black cake, as well as milk fudge. And you'll be able to find all of those products and Abigail's products on our new website, the Uncapped Marketplace website. We will be launching very soon, next week, the next 2 weeks. So please look out for that. You'll be able to order anywhere in Guyana and have it delivered to you for free anywhere in Guyana. So yes, look out for that. Follow our social media pages on Cap Marketplace and GMSA's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. Follow us on all that good stuff, and you get all the details regarding those.
I'm
Um,
excited because now I can get my stuff come to Sterling. That is so,
yes,
listen, convenience is the name of the game right now.
yes,
And where we can make things easier for our consumers, that's where we're going to get the most out of them. That's where we're going to make the most money. If you're going to tell me to come down into that Georgetown traffic and I'm
Ooh,
living over the river and I'm working on the East Bank and you're telling me that I have to go to that Georgetown traffic to get some mitais or some plant chips that I really like, then
mhm.
I'm going to find a substitute. And we don't want that because I'm not going to buy the one that is coming from Trinidad. I support local and I will always support local.
Thank you, Youlandria.
I think it's also a good opportunity for you guys to collaborate because the mitai or whatever they make can be so it's tasty because of the products they use from Sterling,
Mhm.
right? So it will encourage other agro processors that want to get into business. So there's the opportunity.
There we go. I'd like to share our last question in the survey, and we'll just touch on it very quickly before we head into our presentation with Christina. And this one is what motivates your customers most during the holidays? We have 33% saying convenience. So we did mention, having the website, it will ease convenience, not having to go through traffic and so forth. 26.7 says brand reputation. 26.7 also said discounts. Everybody love a discount, a good deal. And 2% said human connection. Would anyone like to share their thoughts on this?
Like I was
Convenience.
saying, yes, like I
Go
was
ahead,
just saying,
Youlandra.
sorry, Alison.
Yes.
Like I
Mhm.
was just saying, listen, convenience, that
Convenience.
listen, if I can just, I think courts have the option, but I still like to go into store to check to see things to make sure I can feel the quality. So courts, I will not use them as an example, but if I can just sit at home and say, okay, I want this chair for Christmas and just say hit and pay and out,
Mhm.
that is so I think I don't think it's a lot of work to get done. And I think seeing that Nikeshia would have launched the website and everybody, I think everybody's going to be able to market their products there. It's going to be really convenient for persons. And I'm telling you, maybe we can have back a next meeting. Call me at Sterling, ask the public relations officer, and let me know if putting your products on that website, if you didn't have an increase in sales, if you didn't have an increase in brand reputation, just let me know, because I am telling you, once people can sit in their convenience of their home, their office space, even if they're working out in the park and they just scroll and they place the order together the next day, you can let me know your feedback.
Mhm.
Correct. Convenience. And from our end, all of our promotions you have on the website, the landing page where you click on it and it takes you straight to the application page. You can fill up your application for whatever you need, and one of our officers will contact you. If by chance you do not have access to that, you can use WhatsApp or an email. Send the information and we will get back to you. No longer have to come into the bank or any branch. However, we still have persons who prefer to come in. It's not like you're going into the course and you want to feel that chair, but they still want to come into the bank. So you will still have a crowd inside the bank. So we imploring our folks, try use the online stuff. It's there, it's available for you. Go to the website, click on the link, complete your application process. The last 2 days, last week, Thursday and Friday, we had a wash of people that came into the branch because of we have this nothing down for car loans. However, you can do it online too. Just go on the website, click. Convenience is really a big thing. So for small business owners, when you have your business, know your competition, because you might not have a vehicle and somebody might call you for something and they can't come to your location. Your competition might very well have invested in transportation and they will reach out and do delivery and they will have the edge over you.
Mhm.
So in your business, look at your competition. Know who your competition is. Not that you are trying, as Abby is saying, that she's competing with herself. You're competing with yourself to be better than you were last week, last month, so that your profits will show an increase. But also, you need to know what's happening around you, because your business isn't in a bubble. You are doing what so many other people are doing. And you see Christmas time, everybody listen out to hear if Ashley's business can sell their product at $5 so that Oriel or Pamela can drop theirs to $2 and $3. And who do you think people can go to? They'll go where it's affordable, where it's convenient. So know what's happening around you. You might be able to benefit from more sales and earn more by just dropping $1. You don't know
Mhm.
unless you try it, but you have to understand what's happening. Yeah, but convenience is a big thing.
Chris?
No, I totally agree. Convenience is primary. If it's easy for you to get a product, if it's easy for you to reach the location where the product is being sold, that's a big plus. In my closing comment, though, I would say that competition, we should welcome it from the standpoint of the consumer ultimately gets the best possible outcome. And it also helps us as businesses to improve and elevate standards. And so I think in any healthy environment, there's a key component of how effective we all are collectively. And then ultimately what people get when they go into the store or the supermarket or the bank or anywhere.
Just in closing, I wouldn't say competition, but I would say competitor. Like for me, when you say competition, you always think that okay, you're in a race, you know. But when you hear the word competitor, now it gives you a little bit more ease on the mind. You okay, it's my competitor. You know, we're not in a competition, but it's my competitor. We're doing similar products, but let me see if I can have the advantage, the competitive advantage over them. Just a little take. I just don't like the word competition, but
Yeah.
competitor we can work with.
Abigail, any closing thoughts?
Yes, yes. Quality. Stay consistent to your quality. Whatever you're offering to your consumers, keep it as simple as possible. Stay visible online all the time. Don't appear out of the blues in December. What happened to her? Was she been with a lady was make up, but now she come out? No. Stay visible all the time. Pepper pot is a national dish. We offering this is the number one product we represent in Guyana. Right? Ashgala need a box of pepper pot today. So yes, stay visible, communicate clearly to your audience, and you will win. Look what the big giants are doing. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Reach out to like-minded persons and help. Oh, thumbs up! Getting 3 boxes. Thank you. Yeah, reach out to your competitor. To persons that have similar businesses with you, and I say collaborate. Why? Persons that making pepper sauce right now, thing of pepper. Now, if you guys collaborate, that so we all are passionate about what we said. I love this panel. This is a great team. And I believe with the little key pointers everyone contributed, the sky is the limit. And don't give up. Giving up is not an option. Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
And there you have it. I gotta say thank you so much to my panelists. You guys did well, and we stuck to the time frame just before we bring in our next presenter. So on behalf of GMSA, thank you, Abigail, Alison, Chris, and Youlandra for sharing your expertise. And participants, feel free to share your questions. We are not ending just yet. You can still get your questions answered from our panelists. Um, right? So send us your questions via the chat. And maybe if time permits, if we have time, we'll allow you to speak. But right now, I'd like to take a break from the panel and introduce Cristina Reni, Market Development Office Coordinator, sorry, for Alliances for Action from the International Trade Center. Good morning.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Well, good
I'm here.
afternoon. You're joining us
Yes,
from
it's
Spain.
afternoon here, but I know it's morning your time, and I appreciate very much being part of this session. It was very exciting to hear the other panelists. I
Yes.
was, like reacting and also wanted to jump in. So thank you for the invitation to the International Trade Center for having us this morning as well.
Yes. Yes. And you'll be telling us about social media trends. So take it away.
Yeah, so it's gonna be social media trends, but also trends in the food sector. Just for everyone to have just a bit of context, the International Trade Center is a joint United Nations agency together with a World Trade Organization. And our mission is to work with entrepreneurs, so small and medium enterprises, such as many of you in developing countries. We are active in Guyana, which is an honor for all of us. And this is why to get like within the partnership with GMSA, we're participating today, but we're also doing other activities. So as part of all of these, I wanted to share a bit some, I would say more international or global examples of what is happening in the food sector, especially when it comes to peak seasons. So I'm going to share my screen to share with you some examples that I hope are inspirational and really trigger that preparation process that I agree it needs to start way before, especially if you want to export any of these products. But it's never late, Nikeshia. I think that it's never a bad timing to get these insights.
Okay, so they still have time. A little time.
Yes, also for next year,
Yes.
like I think it's good because it triggers our interest right now, because it's something that is happening between the Black Friday and then Christmas coming up and Thanksgiving. But what I can say is that it's an ongoing preparation process.
Absolutely.
So I requested to share my screen if it's possible. Okay. Not yet, but now. Now I can do that. Super. So let me go to here. So then I can press to share. Okay, let me see if you can see, if you can see my whole screen. Okay, can you see my whole screen or only?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, super. So that's a presentation for today. And the first thing I wanted, like how I'm gonna break down this presentation, and I hope then the other panelists can also jump later into some discussions around these, are the macro trends that are happening right now, especially in the food sector, and how these then are translated into peak seasons and what is happening with social media. The first one that I think is also very much in line with what is an opportunity for a Caribbean SME in this specific moment, no? And the first one would be that world foods are not anymore in the ethnic aisle of supermarkets worldwide. What is happening is that they're leaving that aisle and going into the mainstream. And this is an opportunity. And I'm missing here a picture that was deleted, unfortunately, but I can share it after. But this is an opportunity for all of the Caribbean businesses, because what before was more thought like, these Mexican fajitas or burritos that you had to go in a specific aisle, consumers are now wanting to try new things all over the world. And this seek for something new, it's also related with a cultural connection. So it's not enough that a brand says now, I have this spicy sauce from Guyana. Actually, it's not like the consumers are not I wanted to share this morning. It was Fila Manila. It's a company of a second generation of a Filipino family in the US. It's really taken the Filipino foods, which perhaps were very unknown in the global markets, now into a mainstream area. No. I really like his content on social media, and I did the screenshot of what I found in the website because I think it's a great example of three trends that we see. The first one is really, well, with peak seasons, we know that gift sets are very convenient, for consumers, because they look lovely. You have a wide range of products, and in this case, it's the unboxing. That first one video that you see on the left is the unboxing of a gift buff from Fila Manila, and shows you what is inside. So more the explanation of the product and showing the offer. The second one, it's the founder, so that's his face, creating that connection, showing what is this banana ketchup that they do. Because of course, some of these world foods or different foods, which I know in Guyana there's so much diversity, and for me as a consumer, it's something I loved when I went there to discover all of that. But sometimes it sounds strange, or we don't know what and then, but definitely there's social media. It's a way of explaining these new foods, terms, products in a transparent way. So I also loved how he had his face, but you can see on the other side of the screen, it's actually a bottling machine. No, it's not very fancy, but it really shows you this transparency of the brand, a human face, and then what the process looks like. And then the third one, it's more of an influencer who's trying the bread with this sauce that is has a very interesting color, let's say, the ube, because it comes from a fruit from Philippines. So there's also that experimentation. And we will expand further into that, but I just wanted to give this example. The other example that was deleted, unfortunately, is a gift box from a Thailandese chocolate brand. They use cocoa from Thailand. And what they did in the gift box is that they develop a bento, no? Like a lunch box, typical. So they use something that is very typical from the culture to then do their gift set packaging. So it's an ongoing form that is on their daily life, and then you use that as a connection of that authenticity, of that cultural connection that consumers are looking for. And in this one, I'm gonna go to my next example because it's from the Caribbean on authenticity. We all know that in the past weeks, it's been very, very hard for Jamaica and other islands, but especially for Jamaica. Here we work with ITC with this brand that is called Pure Chocolate. And one thing I really love about how they have this voice in social media that really connects with their audience, it's they share the process. And what is happening now is that they have to do a lot of work on setting their factory. So it's a challenge. They're not hiding it, but it's actually connecting with the consumers. And you can see here how they're preparing some of these gift packaging also for the peak season. So it's a really critical time that this happened to them now. But they're using it in social media to connect with their audience and their consumers. And I know that as any entrepreneurs, the ones that are here connected, you will face challenges. Now that some of the panelists were speaking about that. So another part of another trend that we see in social media is also connect with authenticity with your customers, share those challenges. And then the other one, just because I'm coming back from Eurochocolate, which is a trade show of chocolate in Italy, is one of the main ones here in Europe. And of course, doing it in this time is because everyone is buying gifts for Christmas time. So you see all these consumers passing by and coming by. And one key thing on packaging when it comes to peak seasons and holidays is colors. And this is something I really stress with a lot of brands because they don't, especially Caribbean brands. The audience stopping at the stands were the ones when they saw this sort of packaging, which is colorful packaging. Don't be shy at using your colors, especially for the export market, because that really makes you stand out. And also one of the comments was that now there's only a few seconds for consumers to make a decision, and colorful packaging, beautiful branding really helps on that. And I also use this example of Pure Chocolate because this is something that you could do with your own community. For example, in their case, they partner with an illustrator, Jamaican illustrator, that creates for each bar, he creates an illustration. So for example, here I have one, and this is the cinnamon one. And it's so beautiful because yes, it creates a special connection, no? Like I want to have this bar because there's a different story. And helps me understand the product and to engage with the brand and also to gift it. If I'm gonna gift something with an illustration, of course, it's quite beautiful, but also making this connection, that collaboration, also transparent. In their case, they give a percentage of royalties to the illustrator for every chocolate bar sold. And also consumers really like that engagement. So this is, that was the first one. The second one I wanted to share that for peak seasons and campaigns is great. It's personalization or customization. In this one, I use a non-food one, but it's because I also wanted to tap into another element here, and it's how can you develop specific functions for specific brands. There's some let's say general customization, and I'm gonna stop sharing my slides here because I want to show you a website actually where I try to do something. Let me see if it's still there, it's still saved. And let me go. Aha. So this is one of just to show different trends when it comes to peak seasons. I know many of you might know this brand, and but it's not the only brand that is doing this. And this is, I'm sharing here my screen. Yes, you can see it now. This is Tony Chocoloni. Perhaps some of you know it. It's one of the big chocolate brands claiming the idea of avoiding child labor, especially in West Africa. In this case, they have this tool to personalize your own chocolate bar. So basically what you see here, and I actually prepared one, but it was one deleted, is that how you can, on their website, let's see if it, create your own packaging. That's the level of customization that we're seeing in the food sector, especially for peak seasons. So for example, if I go here, I can even choose now Earth Day, Mother's Day, then there's Easter, and then I have different options according to that, no? And then I can play with it, I can write my own name. Of course, this is very fancy. And for many of you that might not have the budget to do this, I don't want to take for you to be taken like, oh, this is too much, I cannot compete, I cannot do that. But really to break down why are consumers into it and how can you do this with your brand. Another brand that we work with, for example, she did with stamps. Being honest, it was in a market and she did it with stamps and people loved it because you love how to do your own thing and personalize it. But this is, as the global market is having so many options, this is a trend that we're seeing, that it's key. And in this sense, I wanted to share, and then the next one, which is around, maybe I'm gonna share just this one quickly, because there's now platforms that are helping personalizing gift sets. And I'm gonna do this very quickly. I know I don't have a lot of time, but I really want for us to exchange also with the other panelists. But I wanted to quickly show you this other example. There are platforms now that are specifically curating experiences and gift boxes for gifting and for peak seasons. So now, for example, the wellness essentials, the new home gift, for example, Love and Bubbles, the menopause and revive. So not only like a regular, let's say, holiday, but very much targeting what is that gift that you're looking for, no? And how can it be a bit more general? I also wanted to share this platform because I think it's a good example of other digital opportunities for Caribbean brands. Sometimes it's not that you need to launch your own and alone marketing digital campaign, but it's also about tapping into existing consolidated solutions that are looking perhaps as less quantities, but really special products where you can tap into. Then I also wanted to, while I share my screen, I also wanted to share that I love that Abigail spoke about collaboration, and her experience with the chef from Backyard Cafe, because that's also how you can make some of this personalization and gifting sets. So it's not only about you being alone with your own gift set, but also if you pull out together other two brands and you create a specific gift set for Christmas around a specific topic, you will all gain from their different audiences online, even if it's not only about selling, but already that marketing campaign, shared marketing campaigns is something that we have seen in social media that is really working well. And here I'm gonna share my presentation again, just to wrap up with other two very fast trends that we cannot avoid. You see, I can see the picture on the smaller one, but I cannot see it in the big one. It's fine. Health and sustainability is, of course, a big one. As coming to the Christmas season, don't forget people are still a bit worried about their health. And we can see this in social media, and we can see how then this translates into, I want to indulge myself and like have a treat, but I also don't want to lose all the control and or have a harm in my body, my healthness around this. So it's really important that when you frame up your social media campaign, you also can tap into health benefits from your products. And of course, we're all in the world, it's very general at the moment, the constraints around the economy. So looking at how you can promote during your communications and your storytelling that your packaging, for example, can be reusable and can be a beautiful packaging. It's also another advantage that you can have. I'm trying to share it more like smaller so you can see the images, because I think that that's the best thing about the presentation. Some examples. Okay, now we cannot see it, but I think you can see it here very small. So this is a tin, for example, that says reading mom. So again, this personalization. And the last one that I wanted to share here, it's the experiences, no? And this is another way for you to include your product into other products and services that then you can sell. There's one point about the toyification. So I here had some examples about some chocolate pieces done like a chess game. Or then, for example, there's another one in which there's some cards, and whoever wins the card then gets the chocolate treat, especially for the holidays when we're all with family and sometimes we don't know a lot what to do. Or we want to really engage in different ways. Also, yes, connecting this product with an experience, tours and recipes that you will be also used for you as a content for your social media, will bring further value to all your campaigns. I'm gonna stop here because I know that I'm a bit over my time, but it has been a pleasure to share with you some of the insights that we have seen in the market, and hope are a good inspiration for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. I gotta point out though that when you speak of customization, Abigail, she actually customizes some of like the labels because that was her first one of her first businesses. If I need to be corrected, please, Abigail, jump in. But if, for example, if you're giving somebody a bottle of wine for their birthday, she would do a nice customization of that wine. Abigail, you want to talk about that?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Yes, we go the extra mile in presenting them with a customized wine. We even go so far now to get the customized teas. So the sky's
Yes.
the limit. You buy a tea, you have your name on it. So yes.
Yeah. I like that. So I'm happy that you pointed that out as a way for businesses to, they can do different things. It does not have to be just the regular packaging for different seasons, birthdays, anniversaries. They can offer that option to their customers. And Christina, you also mentioned influencers and showing the process of packaging. With social media, it has opened a lot of avenues in how you market your products. So I wanna hear from you. What are your pros and cons of using influencers? They're blowing up right now. But what do you think of using them when it comes to marketing a business?
Nikeshia, I lost my connection for a few seconds, but I know your question is about influencers and
Yeah.
how to use them. And of course, no, it's an industry that is already very developed in many places, being honest. So look, from our experience, it's always to have a balance, no? And I think that it's not also how it was said before to reinvent the wheel.
Mhm.
No, so to make sure first that as whoever you will be collaborating with, does that person really speaks about your brand, or is because it has a lot of followers? So there has to be first a connection, a genuine connection for really this campaign to make it work and worth it. And then the second point, not always it's more sometimes even making one good collaboration, like the example that Abigail also mentioned. It's gonna be better that you reaching out to 5 influencers and trying to make something perhaps a bit too big. So that is the second one. Then the third one, from my experience with some SMEs, is that sometimes it's good to grow with other influencers at the same time as your business. So you don't have to target the really, really well-known influencer, but perhaps it's also how can you collaborate with someone whose audience is growing and will grow with you as well. And also there's of course another component, which is the investment. What are gonna be those contractual points, like fee for those influencers, and how then you can monitor on this your return on investment. Also, as Chris said, of course, social media, it provides good tools because it gives you more insights and data. And so also in the collaborations with the influencers, another element that it's important to highlight in terms of those negotiations is, are you getting the right information you want for that investment, besides more the influencer just publishing on their social media channels? How can you get that data and that information to then build into your business, and into further strategies you might want to do in the future, relations when connecting with them.
All right, Cristina, thank you. If anyone have any questions, feel free to unmute and let's hear your questions. If you have anything for Cristina, I know Youlandra had to step out, unfortunately, but we still have Abigail, Chris, and Alison here on the call. So if you have any questions, feel free to unmute and proceed or send us a message via the chat.
All right. So thank you for your presentation. It was great. You mentioned earlier in your presentation about don't be afraid to use colors and make it as attractive as possible. I am currently having a back and forth with my designer. He is because I'm preparing myself for export. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen like a year and a few months from now, but I'm now planning for that. And he's saying that we don't, like, if I want to put a pineapple on the wine bottle, he wouldn't want to use that type of image. He would prefer a silhouette image. So I'm having this back and forth because I don't have too much knowledge in that export area, as in the do's and don'ts. And colors appeal, right? That's a looks very bland. So when you said that now, it sent confusion in my mind. So I want to clear up that with you.
Yes, Abigail, no, thank you for that question. I love it because it's something that we always, let's say, interact with some of the Caribbean businesses. That in certain cultures and local markets, we want to respect that certain colors and branding are important the way they are. So let me give you an example. In some markets, black and with like silver letters or golden letters, it's a synonymous of luxury and a high quality product. If you take that to another export market, that might change. The perception of that might be different and might be more difficult for you to be recognized as a gourmet brand with those colors. Being completely honest, that in the European market, if we see something black with some letters, that's not as synonymous for us anymore, and that's not gonna catch my attention. Especially, for example, in your section, no. So wine and bottle. There's so many wines here, for example, and the wines are more like white labels and then some red, very elegant letters. if I'm gonna buy a wine from Guyana and it has the pineapple and it has colors, it's gonna catch my attention. And consumers are gonna see what makes your product different on that shelf when you're competing, for example, with some classic wines. So I think it's about finding the right balance. Of course, I'm not a graphic designer and I want to respect that part of the job. It's also about the designer to understand those market requirements and how to send out the product in the export market. Perhaps in the local market, that is needed because it's gonna make the consumer feel more like, this is something fancy, and because it has that silhouette. And that's good, that's all right. And there are some businesses then that have to find the right balance, not to have double labels, because also, or if you want to have the double labels, or if it's more like an added sticker that then you add to the label, for example, when it comes to export. But definitely, I think, for example, in that case where you're bringing that pineapple flavor to connecting with the consumers, it's not something that I see wrong in other export markets. Of course, then it comes. Then the other element is how will this be printed and how is it gonna look like? So you can check then later that pineapple as you want to draw and how does that look like in the label. But I think as a matter of principle, it's good that you play and you are proud of your colors and your cultures, and consumers will recognize that.
Grace, I see you have your hands up. You can answer.
Yes. Question, piggybacking on the same question that Abby started, because it's like you spent a lot of funds doing your label and your branding, and I'm a little not confused, but how do we navigate? That's the question. How markets with labeling?
So for me, what is important, Grace, for you not to feel overwhelmed, it's to identify those markets. What is a market that is interesting for you? So don't try to cover all these markets at the same time, because of course, like the US is very different than Europe. It's very different that if you go to Trinidad, it's very different that if you go to Dubai. So, like the world is very big and we're all different cultures. So like, from our experience with the different SMEs around the world, because we also, for example, work with African SMEs, it's more like, what is your target markets, or what are your target markets in plural? And if you focus on the three of them, it doesn't mean that then if you target, let's say, Dubai, just because I mentioned it, means that next year you have to go to Dubai, but perhaps that's more like your long-term plan. And doesn't mean that you have to change now your label because you want to go to Dubai in 5 years, but it's more for you to understand first that market, and while you understand that market, then it will be easier for you to analyze how your brand fits into that market. What is the gap that your product is filling into the market? That is the key when it comes to target, like adapting and like making the efforts and the investment, because you don't want to be printing your labels and rebranding every 2 years. It's not affordable for any business. So it's more, have your growth strategy, identify and which are your target markets. That could change. I'm not saying it's going to set on stone. With everything that is happening globally, of course things are changing and will change, but it's more about your growth process, so you don't feel overwhelmed or you don't feel drained by having to do all these things without a sense of direction. Grace, I hope that helped.
Thank you. Yes, it did.
Do we have
All
any
right.
other?
Sure. Just one more follow-up. Back to this overseas thing. So I have a wine called the CEO, and it would have very colorful graphics, and then we did one with the silhouette, right? So what I did, I teamed up with some overseas that brings foreigners again, people from Belgium, Holland, UK, you name it, they all come to Buxton, right? So I have these products on the shelf, and of course, I want to see which one is going to appeal to them mostly by looks, right? And they all chose the local look, right? So I went a step further. I packaged them. It was a bit pricey for me because you have to pay for extra printing for those two sets for the same item. So I put them on the shelves, and the foreign look stayed on the shelf. I took them to Guy Expo, and the local look is like, no, this is not what we're accustomed to. Or the foreign's like, this is appealing. Look at this. This is great. You know, they were enthusiastic about the product. I don't have readily available access to these foreign markets that they want to take my product to. So I'm left like, yes, I'm going to do my market research, but what more can I do as a manufacturer to know that I am making the right decision? Do I have to go there in the country and do test marketing with the people?
So I think there's two, and there's this answer would be very long because basically it's my job, Abigail, how to help businesses like yours to export, and also we also work regionally and locally. So in this, I haven't seen the label, so I'm making a lot of assumptions. I might be wrong about some details. But Abigail, how to know that you're on the right track? There's different layers to this answer. The first one is that tapping into the subject that I was given today, social media. You have a good tool there. You have a great tool there, and also websites. Sometimes even businesses that attend trade shows outside, they don't check the supermarkets and the retailers that are out there in the target markets. This is something that you have access to now. Even a lot of the supermarkets out there, you even have the pricing of these products. So just to say that for doing a market research, you can also start doing it online, and it doesn't have to be too complicated in the sense that yes, it is complicated to get to the buyer of a retailer, of a supermarket. Yes, but the information that you need, it's also there, no? And then also in social media, how are consumers interacting, for example, with different wines and wine labels? Out there trends that you can monitor, and then the other point is also if it's also your connections and your network. We have done some market research that is also about interviewing consumers. And being honest, I asked a friend of a friend that lives in this place, do you know anyone? So sometimes what I want to say is that first, internet and social media are tools for you to gather this information. And it's critical that you do this because even if you have the opportunity, and I hope you do, to go eventually to a trade show of your category, preparation is key. So we going back to the main point now of this webinar. You can have the opportunities, but if you don't prepare for those opportunities, if you go to a trade show thinking that you're gonna stand in the stand and you're gonna sign a contract there without research, without requesting meetings in advance, without gathering market information from your competitors, then it's going to be also a frustrating process for you, even if it would be a lovely opportunity that many businesses dream about. So in our process of supporting different SMEs to export, this is something we really include also in activities and opportunities like trade shows or missions. It's about getting the right market knowledge and preparation for you to have the tools and to make the right decisions for your business, because there's not a magic formula, Abigail, I'm sorry, but you have your intuition. You are the entrepreneur. You love your brand and you know it more than anyone else. So I think that the way that you're going to know if you're in the right track is also how you feel about it. And that has to be contrasted with market information, with checking who your competitors are. What are they doing? What are their price points? And then make the decisions yourself.
I hope that answered your question, Abigail.
Yes. So I'll keep at it.
Abigail, perhaps a last tip is that sometimes we are sometimes shy or we think we need to be perfect to ask for feedback. And asking for feedback, like for example, your labels, doesn't have to be something negative. Actually, it can help you to make better linkages and commercial relationships. So, for example, one thing that you could do with your label, for example, situation is that if you know any retailer, even in the region or in another place that is selling wine or it's in your category, you know you're not ready to go there yet, perhaps, but you have your vision. You know where you want to be. So let's say if you reach out to this retailer, this shop, and you say, "Look, I am working on my labels. I know that I'm not there yet, but I really want to get feedback and insights from the market. Might send you the labels or some pictures, and could you let me know what you think around this? And what are my areas of improvement?" Look, worst case,
I'll
they answer to you.
definitely jump on that.
Please, please.
Yes. Yes, I'll definitely jump on that before the week is out. Definitely. That's a good pointer. Yeah.
Yes, and look,
Yeah, because most of
the
them that
fact that you
come
go
to
to a
Guyana, they
buyer,
like dry wine. Mm-hmm.
the fact that you go to
Yeah.
a
So
buyer and
they
ask
tell
for
me they
feedback
drink wet. Mm-hmm. I will.
makes you create a relationship. But because if you then improve or grow, even if it's in another direction, and then you go back to them and say, "Look, this is now my packaging," like the example that it was given before, now about the packaging. You have a better relationship. You have a stronger relationship there and better opportunities.
I think our next webinar, probably early January, will have to be on labeling. I know a lot of people will have questions on that. So that's something that we will try to plan and let you guys know in advance. Because we have another question here in the chat. What tips would you give for standard packaging design for various Guyana-inspired souvenir pieces? So yeah, although we're talking about, marketing, labeling, it kind of ties into it because everyone wants their products to stand out. So this will definitely be another webinar we're gonna do, and we're gonna focus mainly on labeling. But Christina, I don't know if you want to touch on that one before we go.
Okay, yes. So it's a complex question in the sense that um, standard packaging design. For me, the design is nice when it speaks about your brand. Once again, authenticity. Um, so some tips. The first one, before you do anything, before you hire any designer, please check what are the market requirements for your labels. Don't invest in anything until you're not 100% sure you have all the information that you need. Even for your target markets. Okay, you're not planning to go to Dubai next year, but you're planning to go to Trinidad, or you would like to. Instead of doing this process a million times again, because for example, if you want to have it in another language, let's say, you need to have the space in your packaging for that. And sometimes brands they do it in English, blah, it's perfect, but then they don't have space for another language. So first inform yourself. That would be my first tip. Then the second one, when it comes to in being inspired by Guyana, Guyana is a whole country. Being honest, there's so many things about Guyana. It's so diverse. So what is your connection? Let's say, what is the connection there? What is what you want to show from Guyana, which can be a million things. I understand that it's souvenir pieces, but again, from which region? To do what? Like it can be sometimes when we think about standard packaging or we're trying to be safe, we just go with something everyone would know, like a very straightforward route. But sometimes there are other things from our cultures, from our flavors that we can use and we can recognize, and that really makes then your product to stand out. So that would be also my first point is market requirements. Check those first. And don't do anything without informing yourself. And then the second one, especially with these souvenir pieces, which I understand now you want them to be very connected with what is Guyana. I think like try to think outside of the box within that diversity of what Guyana is, and then try to make it more specific to what you choose around that.
I don't see any other questions, but again, I'd like to thank our panelists. Cristina, thank you so much for joining us today. Look forward to having you again on another webinar soon. Um, and for our participants or attendees, thank you for your engagement, your questions. We hope you're leaving here inspired. And as Christina said, it's not too late for you to start marketing and preparing your business for Christmas, maybe for Black Friday. But it's start now, get your campaigns up and running. And don't forget to follow GMSA's pages on Cap Marketplace and the Guyana Manufacturing and Services Association. Visit our website for upcoming webinars and stay tuned. We'll be back again. Thank you all for joining, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, Christina, the rest of your night.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye-bye.